On the show a few months ago, I've been looking forward to the new netbook optimized operating system called Jolicloud, or Jolicloud, depending on who you ask. I've been toying around with it for the past couple of weeks, and I wanted to give you guys a taste so you could decide if this is a good alternative not only to other Linux distros, but also Windows 7 and the Hackintoshes.
So I got to ask, like, especially after that whole HP MIE netbook optimized, is this basically, did they design an operating system around sort of the limitations of a netbook?
Well, for one thing, you can't really change the resolution, so it's nice to have an operating system that has nice big icons you can click around on very easily. The interface is super easy to use, and it is optimized for web use.
Okay.
Most of the apps are web-based apps. There are a few natively installed, like Transmission, but we'll talk more about those later. But it's just really good for on the go. And it's also a lot more, it's faster.
Really?
I mean, it's definitely optimized to work within the limitations of, the processing power and all the, the guts of a little book like this.
So I know like XP Home is a real dog on the netbooks. Does it feel faster than Windows 7 or the original Ubuntu installs?
I definitely noticed a huge speed increase from MIE, which may have just been my personal experience. I hated MIE, so that's beyond the point.
That's HP's sort of homebrew Linux install.
Exactly. And I have noticed it running a little bit faster than Windows 7. I can't say for sure. I haven't done any benchmarking yet, but just
Windows
the overall
7.
experience has been better for me than running Windows 7 beta, which I did enjoy, which I did actually really like using. So this, it's definitely a thumbs up for me so far, but let me talk about why.
It's so aesthetically pleasing.
It's very aesthetically pleasing. I know it's very like web appy.
I got to point that. No, it's the design on it's super clean, which I really like. Anyway.
So I'm running it here on my HP Mini 1000, which, as I mentioned, was previously running Windows 7 beta. I opted to not dual boot since I'm only working with 16 gigabytes of SSD here.
Oh my goodness.
So that wouldn't really work, right? The installation process was super easy. You just need to create a bootable USB key. It's a little more difficult for Mac users because you have to go through the whole terminal process in order to make the USB key, but for Windows users and Linux, it's just a few commands and you're pretty much done.
If you're a Mac user, find somebody who's got a Windows machine.
No, I did it myself and it only took me a couple of minutes.
Oh, okay, so whenever I hear terminal, I automatically think of typing for days.
No, they have really, really great instructions on the website, so you just have to follow the commands. I mean, you don't have to be some kind of brainiac genius in order to figure it out.
Command line weenie.
Yeah, no. I was like, sudo make it work. That didn't really happen. Once that's done, you just follow the on-screen instructions after you tell the netbook to boot using the USB key. I won't bore you with all the details since I've already done it on this machine here, but the total time took like 30 minutes, I think, to do the complete install.
Including the download and the creation of the USB key?
Well, the download took a little bit longer. Okay. So maybe 40 minutes if you're downloading it fresh right off of your connection that day.
That's not bad.
Yeah, not too bad. The operating system itself is really nice. It uses Mozilla's Prism runtime environment, and it's also based off of the Ubuntu Netbook Remix, which we've talked about a little bit in the past in terms of pretty easy to use Linux distros.
Does it have? I know in the past that we've had some hardware support issues in the Ubuntu Remix. Are they sort of catching up on drivers with that?
The only hardware issue that I really recall them having with Jolicloud was the sound issues. They fixed that in the most recent update.
Cool.
So I'm now getting sound perfectly fine on the netbook. It actually surprised me. I installed the updates and I was sitting there and all of a sudden this big sound happened, like it start sound. I was like, whoa!
When did that happen?
What? Oh, okay. Well, thanks for fixing that. They're definitely going for the cloud thing here too. The applications that you install are primarily, as I mentioned, all web-based apps. I mean, you've got a separate app for Gmail, for Flickr, for Google Reader, for Google Docs.
And I gotta say, I'm always paranoid because I always find myself in places where without my EVDO modem, I wouldn't have a network connection. Did you find yourself like, I'm in the subway, I can't do X because I don't have an internet? I
haven't really come across that problem yet, mostly because I have been carrying around that little MiFi with me everywhere, but that's cheating. They do have some native applications. They've got OpenOffice, and they've got Transmission, as I mentioned, which you would need to be online to use Transmission, but you know what I mean.
That would be a peer-to-peer tool.
Exactly. Yeah, they have Pigeon on there for AIM and for your other chat clients.
So it's not completely crippled if you're not online?
It's not. And you can save files to it and stuff. I mean, you can work within the actual netbook itself, but it is definitely much better experience, a much better experience if you're online. The only weird downside that I noticed is that, say you're in like the Google Reader app, you can't use your regular browser shortcuts to get around. So if you're like in Gmail, if you want to go back and forth in a history of something, you can't use like the command like left bracket and right bracket to like move back and forth in time, which is really kind of confusing because you feel like you're in a browser, but you're not really in Firefox, which is also a separate web app.
So you're in like the Firefox runtime emulating a browser window running a traditional browser window. So
I'm sorry, Firefox isn't a web app. It's actually one of the natively installed apps, but that acts like regular Firefox. But when you're in Google Reader, it doesn't act like it's in regular Firefox, and it will actually open up Firefox when you want to click on a feed item to read full. So that's a little bit of a downside, but you get used to it pretty quickly. And the funny thing is the OS itself is like a social network. So you can see all the applications that your friends are installing and what they're working on. Well, not what they're working on, but what apps they're playing with. It's pretty neat. I haven't added really any friends yet.
Is that like, I'm wondering, is that just sort of, it's checking an RSS feed for your friends, or is that an actual vector of attack for a hacker? Obviously, I'm still like
No, I don't think so. I think it's just a feed.
It's so funny. Like
on Boxy, I think it's just a feed of recently done things by your friends.
I just like find the whole Web 2.0 social aspect like in your operating system.
I know. It's like, ooh, it can be kind of a little bit scary.
Bob has installed yada yada yada.
It's not quite
want to install
that
yada yada yada?
Yeah, but like I mentioned, they've got a lot of great apps. Like Boxy is a really good one. The Boxy app runs really, really well on my HP Mini 1000, so that's nice. They've got Facebook, We Are Hunted, and they also have a separate Facebook chat app. So I'm not sure why they had to make a separate one, but it works. Twitter, NetVibes, you name it, they've got it. And like I was saying, the native apps include Transmission, Pigeon, OpenOffice, and more. Firefox also. So you don't always have to be online, but like I said, it does help.
Wow, so basically it's Jolicloud built on Ubuntu using Jolicloud optimized applications or running Ubuntu applications natively, or should Linux applications?
Yeah.
And
I think that's pretty much how it works.
I like that thought.
They also have a dashboard area, and that's kind of like your central hub where everything goes on, where you can install the system updates and the Jolicloud updates, and you can also see your applications and install and remove them and change your settings. So there's a whole bunch of applications that I haven't even installed yet that I have to go through. We should make a Revision 3 one. That would be cool if you could watch all the Revision 3 shows as a web app on here instead of just going to the website.
So to make sure it's not the HD version of the show.
Why would that?
Probably cause
it might cause a little bit of a hiccup.
It'd be like every 3 seconds there'd be a new.
Right. And then they've got the launcher here. That's a little blue cloud. It's like the symbol for Jolicloud, and it's the place where you can open up all your different apps, and then you can even add them to your favorite section, so you can easily find them when you're browsing around. You can click back and forth between open applications as well up here in like this taskbar, menu bar kind of area.
That's really cool.
So yeah, overall I'm really happy with my switch to Jolicloud. It's a little bit faster than Windows 7 Beta. It's a lot better and makes me much happier to use than MIE was. And if netbook manufacturers knew what was good for them, I would say just put this puppy on here when they sell netbooks instead of having, not automatically, but making it an option.
It looks amazing.
Yeah, maybe they can work out some kind of
deals. It's open source. It's optimized for the actual environment you're using on a netbook.
Yeah.
And it's free.
Yeah, it's free. It's not widely available yet. There's still an alpha, so you can put your name on a list to get notified when it's time for you to be able to download it.
Very cool. What's the website?